They say the loudest screams are the ones never heard, and right now, her silence feels like a howl in the dark. It's a haunting paradox. The quieter it gets, the louder your thoughts become. You're caught in a storm without wind, a battle where your only enemy is the endless echo of what if? What if she's doing no contact too? What if her silence isn't indifference but a calculated move, a mirror of your own? You feel the weight of these questions pressing down like invisible chains, binding you to a battlefield where no words are spoken, yet every second feels like a blow to your resolve. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. Silence isn't just absence, it's power. It's the space where illusions crumble, the stage where your mind becomes both the torturer and the savior. You're not fighting her silence, you're fighting your addiction to answers. This is no simple game of waiting. It's a psychological chess match where the pieces aren't on the board, but in your head. And here's the kicker. The only way to win is to stop playing altogether. Think of this silence as a blacksmith's forge. Every second of uncertainty, every pang of doubt, is the hammer striking the metal, reshaping you into something unbreakable, or shattering you entirely. The Stoics would say, fire tests gold, and adversity tests strong men. So, what are you becoming in this silence? A sharpened blade or broken fragments? This isn't about her anymore. This is your trial, your crucible, your chance to conquer the storm raging within. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, the abyss stretching out below. You feel the pull, the temptation to jump, not because you want to fall, but because you're desperate to end the suspense. That's what her silence does. It tempts you to act impulsively, to reach out, to break the stalemate just to feel something. But here's where dark psychology meets Stoicism. The strongest man isn't the one who clings to the edge in fear. It's the one who steps back, turns around and builds a fortress on solid ground. Silence isn't your enemy. Impulse is. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let that sink in. Her silence, her decisions, her actions, they're all outside your control. What you can control is your response. Every time you resist the urge to chase answers, every time you choose discipline over desperation, you reclaim your power. You shift the focus back to the only person who truly matters in this equation. You. Picture this. A candle flickering in a dark room. You can either let the shadows consume you, or use the flame to light your way. Her silence is the shadow, but your actions, your discipline, your growth are the flame. It's up to you whether the darkness swallows you whole or becomes the backdrop to your transformation. Right now, she might be silent for any number of reasons: confusion, fear, strategy, or even indifference. But does it matter? Her reasons are hers, and your task is not to decode her mind, but to master your own. Dark psychology teaches us a brutal truth. The one who holds their frame controls the interaction. But true mastery isn't about manipulation or waiting for her to crack. It's about becoming so rooted in your own strength that her silence no longer sways you. Imagine you're a mountain, unyielding and immovable, while the storms rage around you. The storm may batter the surface, but the core remains untouched. That's your goal, to become unshakable, no matter how loud or long the silence. And let's be honest, there's a chance she might never break her silence. That thought stings, doesn't it? But here's where Stoic philosophy turns pain into power. The Stoics had a concept called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They taught that by imagining the worst-case scenario, you rob it of its power over you. So ask yourself, what if she never reaches out? What if this is truly the end? Sit with that thought, let it hurt. Then realize it doesn't destroy you. The silence you fear is the silence that frees you. Right now, you're holding onto her silence like a hot coal, hoping it will burn her while it scorches your own hand. Drop it, let it fall, and in its place, pick up something far more powerful, your focus. The gym becomes your temple, your passions your battlefield, and your self-discipline your armor. Every time you channel your energy into self-improvement rather than self-doubt, you win, not against her, but against the weakest version of yourself. This isn't a standoff, it's a mirror. Her silence reflects the parts of you that still seek external validation, the parts that need to be burned away in the fires of your growth. Stop asking, "What is she thinking?" and start asking, "What am I building?" Because here's the ultimate truth. Whether she comes back or not, the man you're becoming in this silence will be stronger, wiser, and untouchable. So face the silence not with fear, but with defiance. Let it shape you, refine you, and remind you that the loudest power isn't in breaking the silence, it's in mastering it. After all, he who controls himself is greater than he who takes a city. Number 1. The shadow of desire. What if I told you that your desire for her, the relentless craving for her attention, her validation, her presence, might be the very thing pushing her further away? Desire, when left unchecked, isn't love. It's a shadow, a looming figure that clouds your thoughts and controls your actions. It can blind you, making you chase what you should attract, making you cling to what you should release. But here's the twist. The moment you let go, the shadow loses its grip, and something remarkable happens. She begins to feel the absence of your pull, the space left behind by your withdrawal, and in that space, curiosity is born. As the Stoics wisely teach, he who is calm and content with himself is truly powerful. When you're consumed by desire, you become a beggar, pleading for scraps of her attention. But when you master that desire, you become a king, ruling your world with grace and strength. Which version of you do you think she's more likely to be drawn toward? The one lost in the shadow of want, or the one standing tall in the light of self-worth? Think of your desire as a flame. Left unchecked, it becomes a wildfire, devouring everything in its path, including your dignity, your peace, and your self-respect. But when you control that flame, it transforms. It becomes the steady warmth of a hearth, inviting and comforting. It's no longer something that consumes, it's something that attracts. Right now, your flame might feel wild, desperate to be noticed, but you have the power to calm it, to shape it into something magnetic. Here's a metaphor to consider. Imagine you're holding a butterfly in your hands. If you close your grip too tightly, trying to hold on out of fear it will fly away, you'll crush its delicate wings. But if you open your hands and let it rest freely, the butterfly chooses to stay, feeling safe and unthreatened. Desire is the same way. When you grip too tightly, when you let it rule you, it destroys the beauty of what you're trying to hold on to. But when you loosen your hold, when you let go of the need to control or cling, it creates a space where love can flourish. The power lies in your ability to turn the mirror inward. Instead of focusing on her absence, focus on the reflection staring back at you. Ask yourself, what do I desire for myself, not from her? This isn't about proving anything to her, it's about proving something to yourself. Every moment you spend chasing her in your mind is a moment stolen from building the man you're meant to be. Redirect that energy. Build something that makes you proud. When you become the flame, the butterfly, the king, you attract effortlessly, without chasing. But who fed you that lie? The one that said you need her to complete you, to feel whole. Stop it. It's time to wake up. She's not your missing piece. You're not broken. You're a masterpiece in progress. And this silence, this period of no contact, is the brushstroke that's adding depth to your canvas. Don't let your desire for her distort that image. Let it fuel your growth instead. Picture this. You've spent weeks nurturing yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally. You've started a new hobby, hit the gym harder than ever, and rediscovered passions you'd long forgotten. Now imagine her seeing this version of you. She doesn't just see a man she once knew, she sees a transformation, a force. She sees the shadow of desire replaced by the radiance of self-respect. And here's the truth. Even if she doesn't see it, even if she doesn't come back, you'll have become someone you admire. Isn't that the real win? So affirm with me right now. I release the shadow of desire and step into my own light. Say it out loud. Write it in the comments below. Make it real, because this is your moment to take back your power. Stay with me. We're not done yet. Desire doesn't disappear overnight. It will creep back in, whispering doubts and feeding insecurities. But every time it does, remember, You are stronger than a fleeting emotion. You are a man of purpose, a man of growth. Let go, not out of indifference, but out of respect for her journey and for your own. So say it again. I release the shadow of desire and step into my own light. Now take that affirmation and make it your mantra. When the urge to reach out grips you, when the silence feels unbearable, repeat it. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you that the power has always been yours. If this message resonated with you, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to bring you lessons that don't just change your relationships, they change your life. Your support helps us reach more people who need to hear these truths. Let's grow together, stronger and wiser, one step at a time. Keep thriving. Number 2. The pulse of absence. Imagine for a moment the silence between heartbeats, how in that brief pause, life itself is held in suspense. Now imagine that this pulse of absence is not a void, but a vibrant space where the seeds of connection take root and grow, even when unobserved. This is the essence of no contact, not a barren silence but a fertile quiet, thick with potential and ripe with what might yet come to be. In relationships, especially those tempered by the trial of no contact, absence does not merely make the heart grow fonder, it makes the heart grow stronger, wiser, more discerning. It is during these periods of silence that the true depth of your connection can whisper its secrets. Rainer Maria Rilke once noted, "The highest form of love is to be the protector of another person's solitude." In respecting her silence, you honor her path to introspection, just as you carve your own. But what unfolds in the pulse of absence? Each moment apart is like a note in a symphony, silent yet resonant, shaping the melody through its very restraint. Think of it as a gardener tending to his plot under the moon's watchful eye. The work is quiet, the growth unseen, yet come dawn, the garden is transformed. So too is the landscape of your relationship, subtly reshaped by the hands of time and reflection. This period of no contact should not be a passive experience, but an active engagement with your own transformation. As you cultivate your inner world, the changes might not be immediately apparent, yet they are profound. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Apply this wisdom to your current solitude. Let the absence of her voice clear the stage for your inner dialogue to evolve from questioning to understanding, from restlessness to peace. In the quiet, memories will undoubtedly visit, echoes of laughter, fragments of conversations, all swirling like leaves in the wind. Each one is a reminder, not just of past joys, but of the resilience and adaptability of love. These are not hauntings from a ghost, but lessons from a guide, urging you to listen, learn, and let go. Your relationship's narrative is still being written, and silence is merely the space between the chapters, necessary, instructive, and full of hidden promise. Therefore, embrace this silence not as a chasm of separation, but as a bridge to deeper self-awareness. In the dance of absence, learn the steps to self-sufficiency and confidence. With each day that passes, you are invited to build a more grounded, peaceful, and attractive self, a self not defined by another's presence, but enhanced by their memory and inspired by the possibility of their return. As you navigate this journey, remember that the art of Stoicism isn't about suppression of feeling, but the understanding and management of emotion. It teaches us to detach from the outcomes and focus on the process. In the Stoic view, every moment of silence is an opportunity to fortify your soul against the vicissitudes of fate and the fluctuations of human affection. In conclusion, let the pulse of absence be your rhythm of growth. Allow it to teach you the grace of patience and the strength of quiet endurance. Know that in the fullness of time, the seeds you've sown in silence will bloom into a garden of inner abundance, visible to all who gaze upon it, including her. So, affirm with me right now. Say this out loud. I am the architect of my peace. Let this affirmation be your mantra as you transform solitude into serenity. Write it in the comments to inspire others on their journey. If this message resonates with you, remember to like the video and subscribe to our channel. We are dedicated to bringing you lessons that not only challenge but change your life. Stay with me, we're not done yet. Together, we'll continue to explore, grow, and learn the Stoic way to master the art of living. Number 3. Becoming the unwritten chapter. What if, instead of chasing her, you became the mystery she couldn't resist? What if, rather than longing for her to turn the page, you became the story she couldn't stop reading? The truth is, relationships thrive on curiosity and growth. But when you stop evolving, when you cling to the old narrative, you risk becoming a closed book in her eyes, predictable, finished. To change is to grow. To be perfect is to change often, said Winston Churchill. So ask yourself, are you still the same chapter she closed, or are you becoming the next unwritten chapter she can't wait to explore? Right now, you're in a space of silence, a void where words used to connect. And it's tempting to fill that void with explanations, apologies, or desperate attempts to reclaim her attention. But what if you did the opposite? What if you embraced this silence not as an ending but as a canvas? In this pause, you hold the brush, the ink, the power to rewrite who you are, not for her validation, but because you owe it to yourself to be a masterpiece in progress. Think of a great novel. The chapters that captivate us most are the ones that surprise us, the ones that make us see the protagonist in a new light. Your life is no different. Right now, she remembers you as you were, flawed, perhaps predictable, maybe even complacent. But what happens when the silence is broken, and she sees a version of you she never anticipated? A version of you who has grown, thrived, and transformed in her absence. Imagine her curiosity reigniting, her mind racing with questions. What has he been doing? How did he become so confident, so focused, so magnetic? Becoming the unwritten chapter is about embracing the unknown. It's about transforming yourself in ways that are not just visible but undeniable. Picture this, a sculptor chipping away at marble, the form still hidden beneath the surface. At first it's indistinct, rough, unremarkable. But as time passes, the shape emerges, strong, defined, commanding attention. That sculptor is you, and the silence you're enduring isn't a void. It's the hammer shaping your future self. This is where the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control becomes your greatest weapon. You can't control her thoughts, her silence, or her next move, but you can control how you show up in this story. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. You don't need to argue your worth to her, you need to embody it. In relationships, attraction isn't just about chemistry, it's about curiosity. She isn't drawn to the person who waits passively for her return. She's drawn to the person who evolves so profoundly that they command attention without uttering a single word. Your transformation isn't about revenge or proving a point. It's about becoming someone you're proud of. Someone so intriguing that when she does think of you, she feels a pull she can't quite explain. But who fed you the lie that your worth is tied to her response? Stop it. It's time to wake up. You are not defined by her silence. You are defined by how you rise in the face of it. This is your time to grow in ways she never expected. Learn a new skill. Dive into your passions. Hit the gym and strengthen not just your body but your resolve. Each step forward adds a new layer to your story, a new dimension to your character. You're no longer waiting for her to turn the page. You're writing the next chapter, and it's going to be the best one yet. So affirm with me right now. I am not the same person I was yesterday. I am growing, I am evolving, I am becoming the chapter no one saw coming. Say this out loud, say it again, let it sink in. This isn't about playing games or outlasting her in silence. This is about transforming yourself so profoundly that whether she comes back or not, you've already won. Stay with me. We're not done yet. The story doesn't end here. The most compelling chapters of your life are still ahead, but they won't write themselves. You have to step into the unknown with courage, determination, and a relentless commitment to your growth. So say it with me one last time. I am the unwritten chapter. I am the story worth reading. Write it in the comments. Let the world know you're not waiting, you're creating. If this message hit you in the heart, if it stirred something inside you, then like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to create lessons that don't just change your perspective, but change your life. Your growth matters, your story matters, and your journey is just beginning. Let's keep writing. Let's keep evolving. See you in the next one. Number 4. The magnet of mystery. Why is it that the more we try to explain ourselves, the less we are understood? Why is it that the more we chase someone, the further they seem to drift away? Here's the paradox that keeps you up at night. Connection often grows not in the noise, but in the space between words, in the allure of what's unsaid. Mystery is not deception, it's power. And right now, her silence, paired with yours, is weaving a tapestry of intrigue that you must learn to wield, not unravel. Think of the moon. Its beauty lies not just in the light it reflects, but in the shadows that conceal its other half. That hidden side keeps us captivated, always wondering, always drawn back to gaze at its glow. People are like that too. We're naturally drawn to what we can't fully grasp. If she's also doing no contact, let that silence serve as the moon's shadow. Instead of filling the space with noise, let it work for you. Let her wonder, let her question. Who is he now? What's he thinking? What is he doing in this silence? This is the magnet of mystery, the silent, irresistible pull of the unknown. Rumi once said, "Don't be satisfied with stories, how things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth." Stop letting the script of this silence define you. Use it as the blank page to craft your reinvention. When you stop scrambling to be understood or noticed, you start drawing attention without effort. It's the power of self-possession, of quietly holding your ground. The less she knows about what's unfolding in your world, the more she'll want to know. Imagine a book left unfinished. The plot is rich, the characters compelling, but just as it begins to reveal its heart, the pages end abruptly. That book lives in the mind of the reader, occupying space, creating questions, urging them to seek more. This is what your silence can become, not a wall, but a door left ajar. When you live authentically, pursue your passions, and grow in your absence from her, you become the story she can't put down. But make no mistake, mystery doesn't mean manipulation. It's not about creating false walls or pretending to be someone you're not. True mystery is born of depth, depth in your character, your actions, and your intentions. Start living not for her attention, but for your own growth. If you pick up a new skill, dive deep. If you pursue fitness, push past limits. If you explore your creative side, let it consume you. These layers of depth are what make a person unforgettable. They are the quiet whispers in the back of her mind when she lies awake, wondering what you're becoming. Think of a roaring fire. If you feed it too much too quickly, it burns out. But if you let it breathe, feed it deliberately, it grows into a steady, powerful blaze. Relationships work the same way. Right now, she might be letting the fire die, but instead of dousing it with desperation, allow the space for air. Let her feel the quiet warmth of your transformation from a distance. Let her feel that magnetic pull. And what if she's doing no contact to make you break first? What if this is her chess move? Then let her play her game. You are not here to prove anything to anyone. You're here to evolve. The strongest piece on the board isn't the one moving constantly. It's the king, standing steadfast, protected, and resolute. Let your silence be that kind of strength, unshakable, magnetic, drawing her in without a single step forward. Stop convincing yourself that she's forgetting you. Stop feeding the lie that her silence is a dismissal. What if, in her quiet moments, she's scrolling through old photos, replaying your conversations in her mind, wondering what you're thinking? People are drawn to those who are secure in themselves, not those who beg for clarity. So stop begging and start becoming. Let me remind you, the power of mystery isn't in hiding, it's in revealing yourself only to those who truly deserve it. And here's the twist. By the time she's ready to unravel the mystery, you might have become someone so profoundly evolved that you'll wonder if she still fits into your story. That's the beauty of living authentically and with depth. The magnetic pull you create isn't about tricks, it's about truth. So, affirm with me right now, I am becoming someone too extraordinary to ignore. Say it again, I am becoming someone too extraordinary to ignore. Write it in the comments. Let this affirmation solidify in your mind and guide you as you navigate the silence, because this is your time, your moment to shine in the quiet. Stay with me. We're not done yet. Like this video if you're committed to reclaiming your power. Subscribe to the channel because we're pouring our hearts into these lessons to help you rise, grow, and thrive. Let's continue this journey together, one step closer to the extraordinary. Number 5. The power of emotional echoes. Have you ever walked into a quiet room and felt like the air was charged with something unspoken, something left behind? That's the power of echoes, silent, unseen, yet profoundly felt. Right now, in the stillness of no contact, there's an echo of you in her mind, just as there's an echo of her in yours. But here's the twist. It's not the loud, obvious moments she remembers. It's the small, fleeting ones, the curve of your smile during a shared joke, the way your hand brushed hers without a word, the look in your eyes when you thought she wasn't paying attention. These aren't just memories, they're emotional fingerprints, impossible to erase. Relationships are built on these echoes. They're the unspoken soundtrack playing in her mind when she lies awake at night, or when a song on the radio brings her back to a moment with you. It's easy to believe that her silence means she's forgotten, but who fed you that lie? Stop it. Silence isn't erasure, it's space. And in that space, these emotional echoes grow louder, reminding her of what once was. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Her silence isn't the end of the road. It's the terrain you must navigate to grow into the person she can't help but remember and perhaps miss. Think of echoes in a canyon. When you shout into the void, the sound doesn't disappear. It travels, bounces back, and grows softer with time. But it never truly vanishes. Similarly, the emotional impressions you left with her are still reverberating. The depth of these echoes isn't defined by what you say now, but by the energy, presence, and love you once shared. Stop shouting into the void, hoping she'll hear you. Instead, become the calm in the canyon, the presence she remembers even in the absence of words. Imagine this: a flower left on a windowsill after a long, harsh winter. At first glance, it looks lifeless, forgotten, and without promise. But beneath the surface, roots remain strong, waiting for the right conditions to bloom again. Your relationship is like that flower. The emotional echoes, the laughter, the connection, the care, are the roots. Even in this season of silence, they hold potential. Whether they bloom again is not up to you entirely, but you can nurture the conditions for growth within yourself. So what can you do? You focus on becoming the best version of yourself, not as a strategy to win her back, but as a testament to your worth. When she thinks of you, let her emotional echoes collide with the image of someone who has grown stronger, wiser, and more grounded. That's the paradox of echoes. They're felt most powerfully when they meet something equally resonant. She'll remember the version of you she once knew, but the version you're building now will be impossible to ignore. Stay with me. We're not done yet. This isn't just about her or about rekindling a lost connection. It's about understanding that the emotional echoes you've left behind are a reflection of your deepest truth. They remind her not just of you, but of the impact you had on her life. That's why it's crucial to continue leaving echoes, not by reaching out in desperation, but by growing into someone whose silence speaks louder than any words ever could. Let's be real. She might not be ready to hear those echoes yet. Maybe she's trying to silence them with distractions or drown them out with other voices. That's not your concern. Your focus should be on making sure that when she does stop to listen, what she hears is a melody of strength, growth, and authenticity, a song that only you could compose. Endings, like silence, are deceptive. They feel final, but they're often just transitions. The echoes you've left behind are proof that your story isn't over, even if the chapter seems to have closed. So, say this out loud. I am creating echoes of growth, strength, and love that cannot be ignored. Say it again. I am becoming someone unforgettable. Now take a deep breath. Let those words settle into your soul, and trust that you're on the right path. This silence isn't a punishment. It's a stage for your transformation. The echoes of who you were will reach her, but the man you're becoming will leave a legacy that no silence can erase. So affirm with me right now. Type this in the comments. My silence speaks of my strength and growth. Let's remind ourselves and others that the quietest voices often carry the deepest truths. And if this message resonated with you, if it sparked something inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear this. We're working hard to create these life-changing lessons, and your support helps us keep going. You're not just a part of this journey, you're the reason for it. Let's keep growing together. Number 6. The edge of destiny. What if this silence, this unbearable stillness between you and her, isn't just the absence of words, but the moment everything changes? What if the silence you fear is the threshold of something extraordinary? Life has brought you here to the very edge of destiny, and now you're faced with a choice. Will you step forward with courage, or will you stumble, gripped by fear of the unknown? Most people stand paralyzed at this edge, caught between the desire for the familiar and the potential of the unknown. But let me remind you, destiny isn't about waiting for her to call, it's about becoming someone worth calling. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The silence you feel, the aching uncertainty, it's not a barrier, it's the bridge. Her absence isn't a rejection, it's an invitation to step into the unknown and rewrite the story, not as the person you were, but as the person you're becoming. This moment is a mirror, reflecting back your fears and insecurities, but also your courage and strength. What do you see? Will you let fear dictate your path, or will you forge forward, transforming pain into purpose? Imagine yourself as a climber standing at the edge of a vast, intimidating cliff. Below you is the comfort of the past, familiar, yes, but limited. Above you lies the peak of transformation, where the air is thinner, the climb is steeper, but the view is unparalleled. The silence between you and her is that cliff. It taunts you with questions. Does she care? Is she thinking about me? Has she moved on? But none of those questions truly matter. What matters is how you climb, how you use this space to strengthen your grip, sharpen your focus, and ascend to a version of yourself that no longer needs the answers. You see, relationships aren't about filling the silences or chasing validation. They're about alignment, between two people, yes, but most importantly, within yourself. At this edge of destiny, you're being asked to align your actions with your values, your strength with your vulnerability. She may be walking her path in silence too, but that's her journey. The only thing you can control is how you walk yours. Do you stumble forward, desperate for her attention? Or do you rise with the steady determination of someone who knows their worth? There's a reason why silence feels so heavy. It's the weight of potential. Think about a seed buried in the soil. It seems lifeless, forgotten in the dark. But beneath the surface, transformation is taking place. The silence you're enduring is your soil. Will you allow yourself to grow in this darkness, to break through and emerge stronger, wiser, and more vibrant? Or will you let the weight crush you, leaving you buried by what could have been? Remember, the seed that dares to grow in silence is the one that reaches for the sun. Maybe she's also standing on the edge of destiny, wondering if you'll be the one to break the silence. Maybe she's testing the waters, hoping you'll hold your ground, showing her that you're more than a fleeting thought. You're a steady force. But this isn't about proving anything to her. It's about proving to yourself that you are enough, with or without her validation. The truth is, when you stand tall at the edge of destiny, you don't just attract people back into your life, you inspire them to meet you at your level. Destiny isn't a waiting game. It's not about sitting in silence, hoping she'll come back. It's about stepping into your power and becoming the kind of person she'll regret leaving, or better yet, the kind of person who no longer needs her to feel whole. The Stoics teach us that we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. The fear of what her silence means is just that, fear. And fear only has power if you feed it. Stop feeding the fear. Start feeding your growth. Let this moment remind you of your strength. Let the silence sharpen your focus. And when you step back from the edge, don't fall into desperation. Rise with purpose. because whether she returns or not, the person you become during this silence will be unstoppable. This is your edge of destiny. Step into it boldly. Say this out loud. I am enough. I am growing in the silence. I am unshaken. Say it again. I am enough. I am growing in the silence. I am unshaken. Now write this affirmation in the comments below. Declare it to yourself and to the world. And if this message touched your heart, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to bring you these life-changing lessons, and your support means everything. Together we rise. Together we conquer. Together we step into our destiny. Number 7. The silent pull of unfinished business. They say time heals all wounds, but what if time isn't the healer? What if it's simply the stage where unfinished business plays out its drama? Right now, her silence might feel like the final curtain, but deep down, you know the story hasn't ended. You can sense it in the quiet moments, in the stillness of nights when memories surface like ghosts, persistent, uninvited, and undeniable. The silent pull of unfinished business doesn't just fade, it lingers, a force that both of you feel but neither can fully articulate. The ancient Stoics understood this phenomenon well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." That pull, that nagging sense of incompletion, isn't here to torment you, it's here to teach you. This silence, mutual or otherwise, isn't the erasure of what you shared, it's the quiet invitation to grow from it. Unfinished business doesn't mean failure, it means there's still a bridge waiting to be built, or perhaps burned. Imagine this, a river once ran between you two. The flow was strong, the connection deep, but now the waters have receded, leaving an empty riverbed. It looks barren at first glance, but beneath the surface lies a truth. The ground is fertile. The question is, what will you plant there? Will you allow weeds of bitterness and regret to grow, or will you cultivate seeds of understanding, strength, and self-worth? The pull of unfinished business is not about running back to the river to refill it. It's about asking yourself, what will I do with this space? In relationships, silence is never truly silent. It speaks volumes in its own way. Every word left unsaid, every unresolved moment, becomes part of the pull. Her thoughts may be mirroring your own, circling back to the same questions, the same lingering emotions. While she's quiet, wondering if you've moved on, you're here wondering the same. The silence becomes a dance, both of you moving in rhythm, yet never stepping into each other's orbit. And here's the paradox. The harder you pull at the thread of unfinished business, the tighter it knots. But who fed you that lie, that you need to unravel it for things to make sense? Stop it. It's time to wake up. What if the knot itself isn't the problem? What if it's your reaction to it? The truth is, not all knots need untangling. Sometimes they serve as reminders of what's been built and what can still grow. What if this silence isn't about endings but about space? Space for reflection, space for growth, space for both of you to redefine what you want and need. Consider this. A sculptor doesn't mourn the block of marble. They chip away at it, piece by piece, uncovering what was hidden beneath. Right now, her silence and the unfinished business it represents is your block of marble. Will you let it sit untouched, a symbol of your indecision? Or will you carve it into something extraordinary, a better, stronger version of yourself? Every action you take during this time, every ounce of energy poured into your own growth, shapes that masterpiece. Stay with me. We're not done yet. The silent pull of unfinished business is not a sign to spiral into despair or to reach out in desperation. It's a signal to turn inward, to master your emotions, and to fortify your foundation. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Instead of chasing the answer to her silence, become the answer to your own doubts. When you grow, the pull of unfinished business no longer drags you down, it lifts you up, reminding you of the progress you've made. Here's the beauty of it. When you stop needing closure, it often finds you in the most unexpected ways. Perhaps she'll reach out, sensing the shift in your energy. Or maybe the silence will speak louder than words, and both of you will find clarity without ever exchanging a single message. Either way, the true victory lies in knowing you didn't wait for her to validate you. You became the validation you sought. So affirm with me right now, her silence does not define me, my growth does. Say this out loud, say it again, let it sink in. Her silence may pull at you, but it cannot control you unless you let it. Use this time to build, to grow, to become someone who inspires admiration, not because you played the game better, but because you transcended it entirely. Before we go, write this affirmation in the comments. Her silence does not define me, my growth does. Let it serve as a reminder to you and to others navigating the same journey. And if this lesson resonated with you, if it sparked even a flicker of strength, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to create content that not only inspires but transforms, one step, one thought, one affirmation at a time. Your support fuels this mission, and your growth inspires others to keep climbing. Stay strong, you've got this. Number 8. Becoming the calm before her storm. Have you ever wondered what happens in the quiet spaces of her mind when she's alone, staring at the ceiling in the stillness of the night? When life's chaos surrounds her and she feels lost, where does her heart retreat to for comfort? Maybe she doesn't reach out now because she's searching for stability. But what if you could become the calm she runs toward when her world feels like it's crumbling? What if, instead of being consumed by doubt, you became the unshakable force she can't forget? The steady presence that echoes peace, even in your absence. Right now, you're caught in a storm of silence. It's tempting to believe that her quiet means she's forgotten you, moved on, or found someone else. But who fed you that lie? Stop it. It's time to wake up. Silence doesn't mean absence. It often signals introspection, uncertainty, and emotional storms you can't see. She might be navigating her own battles, searching for meaning, for clarity. Your job isn't to fix her struggles or force her to return. It's to become a beacon of calm that she's naturally drawn to when the storm inside her rages. Imagine a lighthouse standing tall against a violent sea. The waves crash relentlessly, the wind howls and the sky tears open, but the lighthouse remains unyielding, its light cutting through the darkness. It doesn't chase lost ships, it simply shines, guiding them back when they're ready. You must become that lighthouse. Be the steady force she can rely on, not because you're chasing her, but because your inner strength speaks louder than words ever could. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In a relationship, this means mastering your emotions even when you're surrounded by uncertainty. Her silence is outside your control, but how you respond isn't. Choose resilience. Choose calm. Choose to be the person who transforms through patience, not desperation. Think of the calm after a thunderstorm. The air is clearer, fresher, alive with possibility. Your presence should have that same effect, grounding, soothing, and unforgettable. When life pushes her to the edge, she'll remember the one who didn't crumble, the one who radiated peace even when things were uncertain. Be the breath of fresh air she didn't know she needed but can't live without. Stay with me. We're not done yet. Emotional storms don't last forever, but the memory of someone who stood firm through the darkest nights never fades. Right now, you might be thinking, but what if she never comes back? What if she's done with me? Stop carrying that fear, it's dead weight. If she's meant to return, she'll be drawn not by your pleas, but by your unwavering calm. And if she doesn't, you'll still emerge stronger, clearer, and more self-assured than ever. So affirm with me right now, I am the calm before the storm. My peace is unshakable. Say this out loud. Let it settle into your bones. You're not here to fight against the wind. You are the stillness it can't disturb. You're not begging for her attention. You're building a life so grounded, so centered, that she'll feel your presence even when she's far away. You have what it takes to be that calm, the solid ground she remembers when life feels unstable. But it starts with you. It starts now, so say it again. I am the calm before the storm. My peace is unshakable. Write this in the comments below and make it your truth. Declare it with certainty because you are stronger than the